Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to dip back into the world of Evangelion merch and we're going to have a look at this Unit 1 and Shinji Desktop Army model kit. Now, a few months ago I did a Desktop Army model kit on the channel for Asuka and Unit 2 and it was quite an interesting one. It felt familiar because I'm not experienced, but I've built quite a few of the Gundam model kits back from Bandai, but it also felt a little bit different in many ways. For one, as the name implies, this is quite a smaller kit. This is kind of what we're building here. So we've got Unit 1 and then Shinji kind of sits inside it. The way the parts were numbered was a bit different to what I'm used to with the Gundam model kits, and I'll show you that in a second. And overall the build felt quite good quality, but it also felt a little bit looser in places around the joints and that I'm used to. So yeah, I'll show you what we get in here. Like I mentioned, we'll be building the Unit 1 itself, and then there's sort of like a little Shinji figure that goes onto it. But we open up the box, and what you see is just loads of packaged plastic almost immediately. And it's a little bit, yeah, a little bit, compared to the Gundam model kits, it's a little bit overwhelming. Because you can see the absolute wealth of stuff we have here. There are absolutely loads of little plastic parts here that we need to cut from. If I remember correctly with the Asuka one, there was about 114 parts. Now I'll get onto that in a second when I show you the instructions, why I have kind of an issue with that. And it's not the number of parts that I have an issue with, it's how they're labelled. So we'll just open that. Just notice straight away, you can just kind of see, there's the model of Shinji there. And I'll get that out just in a second, but I won't get out any of these just yet. But you can see it's almost an overwhelming amount of plastic parts to unpackage here. Now, with this being a smaller one, I guess you kind of expect them to not be quite as big. But like I say, I'll talk about the obvious comparison to the Gundam model kits as we show the instructions. So here are the instructions. Now one thing I'll say is the instructions aren't too different from the bigger Bandai Gundam model kits. And it's one thing I'll say to you all if you are intrigued with building Gundam model kits or anything like this. Don't worry if you don't understand Japanese, because that is not a factor. It's all very pictorial based. It's just kind of like Lego really. You have the diagrams, you put it together as it shows. The one thing I'll say is just take it slowly and be careful with it, because sometimes some of the parts are very similar looking, but there's slight differences there. So here we have the instructions. You can see it's quite a big leaflet there. And that's it all unfolded. And it looks like there's a few little variations there. So there's like a cockpit with the gun. There's the big shield. But obviously this is what we'll be building here, the Unit 1. So I'll show you the instructions. So what we basically have is, like I said, don't worry if you don't understand Japanese, because it's all very easy to follow. But it'll say, like, you know, step 1, connect E19 to E21 and E22 and so on and so forth. Now, this is where I have a problem. If we go to step 1 here, get that in focus, you'll notice it's 5, 3, 6, 8, 9. Yeah. And you have got B10 there, you've got E3 and that. So you've got a few like lettered ones. But when it comes to the Gundam model kits, it's kind of a thing, and I'll show you that. So we've got these sort of plastic, I don't know what you really would call them, but with the Gundam ones, each one of these corresponds to a letter. So it's usually like A through G. So you get out the letters, you'll place them around you, and that's generally quite fine. However, as you just saw there, these are numbered like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now where my issue comes in is we get to like these parts here, and it's like 97, 95, which means you have to route through this entire bag looking for the corresponding numbers. And as you can see, there's not a lot on them. They're quite small. There's one kind of minor critique I have of these. I'd much rather have the bigger plastic parts and then be lettered like they are with the Gundam ones. So it's like, you know, your arms will come in like the E1 through 10 or F1 through 10 or whatever like that. It's one thing that when I was building the Asuka one, it gave me quite a bit of trouble because I had to unpackage all of these and look around and scrabble around for them, which was a little bit tedious after some time. But by and large, it was exactly, you know, building was just, you know, snapped together. Wasn't really much else to do than that. What I use for taking them away from the plastic, this one looks a little bit worse for wear, but I use like model clippers, sort of stuff you'd use with Warhammer, I guess. I got these actually when I used to do Warhammer a long time ago. I'll always have like a little nail file or whatever nearby for sanding down some of the rougher edges. And then you just clip them together. I'm not actually going to show the process of me building this model in here because, to be honest, with the parts being so small, you wouldn't get a lot of dialogue and it wouldn't look visually too interesting. It's a lot of me just sort of searching around and then going, oh, there's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and build this now. I'll intersperse some video footage showing each individual part as it's done. So it'll be like the head component, the arms, the legs. And then I will join you all again when we are ready to put the model together. So see you shortly. Welcome back everyone. Time for a little bit of an interlude. I wasn't actually going to put in too much video footage of me building this thing, and I'm still not going to really show the thing being built, but I thought I'd do a little bit of a progress update in the middle of the video to show me sort of a little bit through the video, and also illustrate one of the minor criticisms I have of the Desktop Army kit. So what I'll do is I'll show you kind of what we've got so far. So what we've got so far is the Shinji. That kind of came in one solid section. This little bit on the front of his plug suit comes off. The first thing we built was the gun, which looks absolutely lovely. There's a photo I'll intersperse in a bit of Shinji kind of lying down using the gun. That's one of the pictures you can kind of see there. We've built the start of Unit 1's head. And we've also built some of the shoulder parts. So next up is one of the, I believe it's sort of the middle kind of cockpit area. And then it'll just keep getting built up from there. But what I wanted to do was just use this little segment to illustrate one of the criticisms I've got. So as I mentioned before, with the Desktop Army kit, we've got these plastic sections here that we cut the pieces from. I don't really know if these actually have a name. But as you saw from the bag earlier, there was quite a lot of them. And as you can see, there is still quite a lot. Now each one of these is numbered, and it's like numbered 1 through to about 120, 130. And as you can see, they all come in individual plastic sleeves like this, which might not seem like a problem, but you can imagine if I'm looking for part, 45, I've got to dig through all of these to find part 45. I've got to open it all, and it's quite a time-consuming, tedious process. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is tedious. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you something from one of the Gundam model kits I've got. It's an unbuilt model kit. It's from Gundam Seed Destiny. I admit I haven't watched Gundam Seed Destiny, but I tend to buy model kits based on whether or not I like the kit, whether or not it looks cool. But we've opened up that. Now, like I say, oh, sorry, knocking the camera there. So keep in mind, that's how they look there, and I'll show you like where the numbers are. So you can see it's like, those are number 67, like 61, 57 there. With the Gundam kits, you get something similar to this. So you can see there's quite a lot of parts on there, and they're still, let me just find the numbers that are on the other side. So you see that's still like 16. What we have is they're all up at the top, it's lettered. So it's like, in the model kit, it'll go, do you want A27, A28? And you'll go, yeah, I do. And then it'll say, oh, use that with B whatever. And then this isn't open yet, but, or F, whatever we'll use for this example. But you can see there, that's F. So it's very easy to kind of find the parts you want, as opposed to this, where you've got so many of them. So I just wanted to kind of illustrate the criticism I had of this. I still think it's a lovely and cute little kit. I think it's quite easy to put together, and I'm not having any difficulty putting it together by any means. But I just wanted to use a bit of this video to address that. The other thing you might notice is that I'm actually kind of kneeling on the floor right now. Sometimes when I build model kits, I don't necessarily build them at my desk if I'm not on camera. I'm a little bit of a gremlin when it comes to sitting on the floor at times, so that's probably why it looks a little bit different right now. But either way, I'll see you again in a moment when we'll have all of this kind of put together and ready to form into the one Ava unit. See you in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. So here we have it, the Unit 1 Desktop Army model kit, fully complete, and you can just kind of see it all put together. Shinji's in there. We've got the rifle in its hand. I'm showing off two of the different hands here. So I guess I'll just kind of show you around this model a little bit. I'm always kind of careful with these. I don't want to accidentally break something or snap it off, but you get some pretty decent articulation on the leg there. You can see the arm has some articulation as well. You can kind of swing the arms around if you want to. I can't on that because I've got his hand tucked onto the control panel, but I don't for this one. You can see it stands independently, which is always a really lovely bonus. You've got the rifle prop here. You can kind of have it either in the unit's hand, or you can have the unit lying down and using it as if it was like sniping something. I suppose in a way to mimic the scene from the early episodes when they're fighting Ramiel, the huge sort of octahedron angel, as they call it. You can get a rare Desktop Army, which I don't have and probably won't be having because these things are pricey. But overall, really fun figure. Not too difficult to put together. I had the initial problems with it, the way the parts were numbered, but as it went on, you built up more of the model. It became much easier, as I suppose you'd expect. And now, just to sort of, I suppose, do the comparison, I'll bring my Unit 2 along. Oh, my Unit 1, whose leg has just fallen off, which is, that's good, isn't it? Why has that happened? Oh, well, it is now fixed. So there we go, there's the Unit 2. Something's always going to go wrong with these things, isn't it? So yeah, Unit 2, very much the same. You can see them standing side by side there. So I guess my opinion on these in general, they're really nice little model kits. They're not too difficult to put together, a little bit fiddly during that initial stage, but I don't think people will have too many problems with them. If I was going to advise it, I'd probably advise getting one of the bigger, like, Bandai kits. But these are really nice, small, compact kits that'll sit on your desk, and look quite nice. So, you know, as always, thank you all very much for watching this. Please leave your comments, leave a like, subscribe, share the video around, it really does help. And I'll see you again in the next video.